The quick answer is no. There are no proven natural remedies for COVID-19 infection, regardless of what you have read on social media. And there probably won't be, due to the fact that our industry has limited resources for handling such a highly infectious agent such as this virus. Do keep in mind that there are no proven treatments in any style of medicine as yet. There has been a lot of speculation about certain herbs in particular that are being finger-pointed as being unsafe during a COVID-19 infection because of their ability to potentiate something called a cytokine storm. So I just wanted to quickly explain that for you. A cytokine storm is a dramatic inflammatory response triggered by the virus itself. So although some herbs help the immune system to release cytokines early on in the infection, which is actually a normal and helpful response from the immune system, herbs and nutrients cannot cause a cytokine storm. So when at the late stage of this virus, when you're needing hospitalization, that's when a cytokine storm is actually being triggered within the body, and it's not because of anything that you can take. It is purely an activation from the virus itself. So although there's no proven natural treatments for a COVID-19 infection, what we do clearly understand is how natural medicines interact and affect our immune system. And we also know what the COVID-19 infection does within our bodies and how it affects the immune system. So with that combination of information, we are able to recommend preventative suggestions with using natural medicine. So what we do know about the virus and how it affects our immune system is that it firstly affects something called the innate immune system. And the innate immune system is your body's very first line of defense. It does not require any specific factor of the virus, such as the virus RNA or anything like that, to be able to attack it. It just recognizes that something is foreign and it goes on the attack. So these includes things like monocytes and natural killer cells. The virus is very clever, and what it does is that when it enters the body, it works very quickly to try and get under the radar and sneak in without us really knowing. So what it's actually doing is something called down-regulating the innate immune response. So it's basically trying to sneak in and do as much damage as it can before our bodies start telling us that it's there by producing things like fevers and coughs and all the symptoms that you know are associated with viruses. And what we do know clinically is that there are many herbs and nutrients and lifestyle modifications that you can take on that directly improve the function of your innate immune system. And while social distancing and things like that are important for flattening the curve, it's in my belief, after being a naturopath for many years, and also specifically within this particular virus and pandemic, with over 50 hours of specific research on with immunologists and doctors and many other professionals and naturopaths in this field, is that prevention is an incredibly useful thing to help reduce mortality and also reduce the severity of a COVID-19 infection. So the quick answer is yes. There are plenty of things that we can recommend to help either prevent an infection or to prevent the severity of an infection. Okay, so the first suggestion here is to really look after your gut. For an average immune response against a virus, what you want is a T helper 1 T cell response to stimulate particular cells within your immune system, and they can kill, like such as natural killer cells, and they will help to kill any sort of virally affected cells. So then you want your immune system to regulate basically and calm down with Treg cells once the infection's under control. So one of the most important things you can do here is ensure that you have a healthy gut, because a healthy microbiome will increase the regulatory function of your immune system to reduce inflammation, and it will also help with the T helper 1 cells early in the disease. And these are the ones that help to kill the virally affected cells. So while we don't have any clinical evidence to suggest specific herbs against this COVID-19 infection, we do know that there are plenty of herbs that have been clinically proven to be effective against other viruses and other multiple viruses. And they include things like astragalus, golden seal, echinacea, elderberry, St. John's wort, thuya, propolis, kudzu, Baked skullcap, licorice, holy basil. There's plenty of herbs that work against viruses that we clinically know. Nutrients that come to mind when we're talking about improving the immune system include vitamin A and D. These work specifically on the immune system, improving it against things like respiratory infections. So they work specifically on the mucous membranes of the lungs and the sinus cavities, and they've been clinically proven to help reduce the severity of respiratory tract infections. We know that also vitamin C specifically helps to shut down the specific inflammasome that is linked with the progression of the COVID-19 infection. This one is the NLRP3. So there's been clinical trials there with the use of vitamin C. So I would highly recommend taking a vitamin C supplement as a preventative. The other things that help to reduce this particular inflammasome include things that contain rosmarinic acid, and they are herbs that you can use in your kitchen, such as basil and rosemary and sage and thyme. These herbs all contain rosmarinic acid. There's been a huge amount of research into the effects of sleep and the immune system. So what we do know is that getting a good night's sleep, which is 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, can improve your immune function by up to 80%. And this has been clinically proven. So while you are taking your phone to bed and watching some series and sort of reading the news the last thing before bed, I would highly suggest you don't do that and actually prioritize your sleep as a preventative measure towards a stronger immune system. In my previous video, I focused entirely on the importance of reducing stress and anxiety in the body, and there's a good reason behind this. Stress and anxiety and catastrophizing is linked to an increase of interleukin 6, and so what we found is that interleukin 6 is a inflammatory molecule within the body that potentiates the worsening of a COVID-19 infection. So there is a biological reason why we're suggesting for you to really look at your stress levels. Meditation and deep breathing have been clinically proven to reduce interleukin 6, and so have certain herbs and nutrients too. So herbs like withania, Siberian ginseng and lemon balm, herbs like these that are calming for the nervous system, the ones that I spoke about in my previous video are also very helpful. So please, if you think this is a factor in your particular health, please come and speak to us and we can make some specific recommendations for you. Another part of the progression of illness is relating to fevers. If you are experiencing fevers as part of the early symptomology of the disease, it's really important and recommended that you don't work to suppress fevers. So while we know that some of the NSAIDs and ibuprofen are not recommended during this particular phase, we also know that fevers actually boost the immune response to the illness, and actually could be a critical part to your recovery. So I will be talking a little bit more about fevers and how to manage them, but it is important that you stay within your comfort limits, but also don't suppress them. So there have been studies to show that actually putting your body into something like a fake fever as a preventative measure if you don't have the infection can be beneficial. So using things like hot and cold immersions, so using really not burning obviously, but a very warm hot bath and raising your body temperature, and then jumping into something as cold as an ice bath if you can handle it. Has incredible effects on the immune system. Some studies show that just doing this once a week is enough to actually improve your immune system to a point of prevention.